I picked up the wrong briefcase. Within an hour, every black car in the city was looking for me. My name is Rachel Martinez, and I'm 29 years old. I work as a paralegal in Chicago. This story is about how one mistake turned my ordinary life into something out of a spy movie. It was a Tuesday morning. I was running late for work. Again. My alarm hadn't gone off, and I had overslept by 30 minutes. I rushed to get ready, grabbed my coffee, ran out the door. I took the train to work like I did every day. The train was packed. Rush hour in Chicago is always chaos. People pressed against each other, everyone trying to get to their jobs. At my stop, I pushed through the crowd, hurried off the train. That's when I grabbed the briefcase. It was sitting on the seat next to where I had been standing. Black leather, professional looking, exactly like mine. I picked it up and rushed off the train. Didn't think twice about it. I got to my office, set the briefcase down at my desk, started working. Around 10 a.m., I needed a file from my briefcase. Opened it. That's when I realized. This wasn't my briefcase. The contents were completely different. No legal files, no case documents. Instead, there were USB drives. Multiple ones. Maybe 20 of them. All labeled with codes I didn't understand. There was also a phone. Not a regular phone. Something that looked expensive and encrypted. And a note. Handwritten. It said, "Do not open these drives. Do not contact anyone. Someone will come for this." I stared at the contents, my heart racing. What had I picked up? I should have called the police right then. Should have turned it in. Instead, I closed the briefcase, tried to think. Maybe someone from the train would realize the mistake, would call me, would arrange to swap back. I waited, checked my phone constantly. No calls, no messages. Around noon, I noticed something strange. There was a black car parked across from my office building, tinted windows, just sitting there. I didn't think much of it at first. Chicago is full of cars. But then I noticed another one. Different spot, same type. Black sedan, tinted windows, running. By 2 p.m., I had counted 5 black cars, all around my building, all watching. That's when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Miss Martinez?" a voice said. Male, deep, calm. "You have something that belongs to us." "Who is this?" I asked. "That's not important," the voice said. "What's important is that you have a briefcase that isn't yours. You need to return it." "How do you know my name?" I asked. "We know everything about you," the voice said. "Rachel Martinez, 29, paralegal at Morrison & Associates, lives at 742 Ashland Avenue, apartment 3B. My blood went cold. How did they know all that? "You're scaring me," I said. "Good," the voice replied. "You should be scared. That briefcase contains information that people would kill for. I need you to bring it to Grant Park, southeast corner, 1 hour." "What if I don't?" I asked. "Then those black cars you've been noticing will stop being subtle," the voice said. "Your choice." He hung up. I sat at my desk shaking. This was real. These people were real. They were watching me. I looked out the window. The black cars were still there. I grabbed the briefcase, told my boss I was feeling sick, needed to go home. He was understanding, told me to rest. I walked out of the building. The black cars didn't move. They just watched. I got on the train, held the briefcase tight. My mind was racing. Should I go to Grant Park? Should I go to the police? Should I just leave the briefcase on the train and run? At the next stop, I made a decision. I got off the train, but I didn't go to Grant Park. I went to a coffee shop, called my best friend Marcus. Marcus worked in tech. If anyone could help me figure out what was on these drives, it was him. "Marcus," I said when he answered, "I need your help." "What's wrong?" Marcus asked. "You sound terrified." "I picked up the wrong briefcase," I said, And now people are following me. What? Marcus said. Rachel, slow down. Tell me what happened. I explained everything. The briefcase, the USB drives, the phone call, the black cars. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Don't go to that meeting, he finally said. If these people are who I think they are, that's not a meeting. That's an extraction. What do you mean? I asked. I mean, they'll take the briefcase and probably take you too. Make sure you can't talk about what you saw. So what do I do? I asked. Come to my place, Marcus said. Let me look at what's on those drives. Maybe we can figure out who these people are and what they want. I took an Uber to Marcus's apartment, kept looking behind me. The black cars weren't following. Not obviously anyway, but I felt watched. Marcus lived in a high-rise downtown. Good security. I felt slightly safer once I was inside. Show me, Marcus said. I opened the briefcase. Marcus's eyes went wide. Holy shit, he said. Rachel, these aren't just any USB drives. Look at them. What am I looking at? I asked. Military-grade encryption, Marcus said. He picked up one of the drives. This is the kind of storage device that intelligence agencies use.
Intelligence agencies? I repeated. Like CIA? Or private contractors, Marcus said. People who deal in information, classified information. He looked at me. You didn't just pick up the wrong briefcase. You picked up something worth millions, maybe billions. We need to look at what's on these, I said. Are you sure? Marcus asked. Because once we plug these in, we're involved. We're already involved, I pointed out. They know where I live. They know my name. I need to know what I'm dealing with. Marcus nodded, set up his computer. Multiple security measures, VPNs and firewalls and things I didn't understand. He plugged in the first drive. It took him 20 minutes to break the encryption. When he finally opened the files, we both stared at the screen. These are government contracts, Marcus said, scrolling through. Military contracts, payments to shell companies. And look at this, offshore accounts. Money laundering? I asked. Money laundering, weapons deals, bribes, Marcus said. This is evidence of major corruption. He looked at me. Rachel, whoever owns this briefcase wasn't just carrying information. They were carrying proof of crimes, big crimes. We need to go to the FBI, I said. No, Marcus said. What? I asked. We can't go to the FBI, Marcus repeated. Why not? Because we don't know who's dirty, Marcus said. Look at these names. There are government officials on here, senators, military officers, FBI agents. If we go to the wrong person, we're dead. So what do we do? I asked. We make copies, Marcus said. Multiple copies. Send them to journalists. Make this information public. Then they can't kill us to bury it. That sounds dangerous, I said. Everything is dangerous now, Marcus pointed out. At least this way, we have leverage. Marcus spent the next 3 hours copying everything. Multiple drives, cloud backups, encrypted emails to journalists. As he worked, my phone rang again. Unknown number. Don't answer it, Marcus said. I need to, I argued. They're going to keep calling until I do. I answered. Ms. Martinez? The same voice from before. You missed our meeting. I had other plans, I said. That was unwise, the voice said. We're not people you want as enemies. Who are you? I asked. Let's just say we're people who make problems disappear, the voice said. And right now, you're a problem. I have copies, I lied, of everything on those drives. If anything happens to me, they go public. There was silence on the line. You're lying, the voice finally said. Try me, I challenged. More silence. We'll be in touch, the voice said, then hung up. I looked at Marcus. We need to move, he said. They're going to come here. Where do we go? I asked. Somewhere public, Marcus said. somewhere they can't grab us without witnesses. We packed up the drives, grabbed Marcus's laptop, left his apartment, took the stairs instead of the elevator. On the street, there were 3 black cars, waiting. "They know where you are," Marcus said, his voice tight. "What do we do?" I asked. "We run," Marcus said. We ran, down the street, into the crowd. The black cars followed, but they couldn't grab us in broad daylight, not with hundreds of people around. We ducked into a shopping mall, lost ourselves in the crowd. Marcus called a friend, someone he said we could trust. The friend agreed to meet us at a hotel, somewhere safe. We took 3 different Ubers to get there, kept switching cars, trying to lose any tails. At the hotel, Marcus's friend was waiting. Her name was Diane. She worked as an investigative journalist. "Marcus told me about your situation," Diane said. "I need to see what you have." We showed her the files. Diane's face went pale. "This is bigger than I thought," she said. "These files implicate dozens of people. Government officials, CEOs, military contractors." "You said you made copies?" Marcus asked. "I did," Diane confirmed, "and I've already sent them to my editor. If anything happens to any of us, this goes public." "Good," I said. "Now what?" "Now we go public, ourselves," Diane said. "Tell our story. Make it impossible for them to silence us." Over the next week, everything exploded. Diane published her story. Other journalists picked it up. The files were released. Proof of corruption, money laundering, illegal weapons deals. The investigation reached the highest levels of government. And I was at the center of it all. The woman who picked up the wrong briefcase, who accidentally exposed a massive conspiracy. The black cars stopped following me, but I got death threats, had to move apartments, changed my phone number, got security. It was terrifying, but also necessary, because the truth needed to come out. 6 months later, arrests started. Senators resigned, CEOs were indicted, military officers faced court-martial. The conspiracy unraveled, all because I picked up the wrong briefcase. Marcus and I testified in front of Congress, told our story, explained how we uncovered the corruption. We were called heroes, whistleblowers. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like someone who got lucky, who made a mistake that turned out to change everything. A year after picking up that briefcase, I left my job as a paralegal. Started working with Diane, became an investigative journalist myself, using what I learned to expose other corruption. Marcus started a security company, helping people protect sensitive information. And the person who originally owned the briefcase, they were arrested. Turned out to be a middleman, someone who facilitated illegal deals. They're serving 20 years now. I think about that Tuesday morning a lot. How I was just running late for work. How I grabbed what I thought was my briefcase. How one small mistake changed everything. Changed my life, changed other people's lives. Exposed corruption that had been hidden for years. People ask me if I'd do it differently, if I'd leave the briefcase alone if I could do it over. Honestly, I don't know. What I went through was terrifying. The death threats, the fear, the feeling of being hunted. But also, I'm proud of what came from it. Proud that we exposed the truth, that we made powerful people face consequences. So no, I probably wouldn't change it, even though it was scary, even though it turned my life upside down. Because sometimes doing the right thing is terrifying, but it's still right. That's my story. I picked up the wrong briefcase. Every black car in the city came looking for me, and somehow I survived. More than survived. I helped change things, all because of one mistake on a Tuesday morning. But that's not where the story ends. That's where it really begins. Because exposing corruption doesn't mean the danger disappears. It just changes form. 2 years after picking up that briefcase, I was still dealing with consequences. The arrests had happened, trials were ongoing, but the people connected to the conspiracy weren't done.
One night, I came home to find my apartment had been broken into. Nothing stolen, but everything searched. My laptop moved, papers disturbed. A message. They were telling me they could get to me anytime. I called Marcus immediately. It happened again, I said. Someone was in my apartment. You need to move, Marcus said. I can't keep moving, I argued. I've moved 3 times already. Then you need protection, Marcus said. Real protection. That's when I met Alex. Alex Chen was a former FBI agent. He had left the bureau after disagreeing with how they handled certain cases. Now he ran a private security firm. Marcus hired him to protect me. I don't need a bodyguard, I told Marcus. Yes, you do, Marcus said. Rachel, these people tried to silence you once. They'll try again. Alex showed up at my new apartment the next day. He was in his mid-30s, serious, professional, exactly what you would expect from former FBI. Miss Martinez, he said, I'm here to assess your security situation. It's not good, I said. People keep finding me. That's going to change, Alex said. He spent 3 hours going through my apartment, installing cameras, changing locks, setting up alerts. You can't live like this forever, I pointed out. No, Alex agreed. But you can live like this until the trials are over, until these people are actually in prison. The trials took another year. I testified in 4 of them. Each time, Alex was with me, making sure I stayed safe. We spent a lot of time together. At first, it was just professional. He was doing his job, I was trying to survive. But gradually, it became something more. 3 years after picking up the briefcase, Alex and I had become friends. Real friends. We would talk for hours. About the case, about life, about what we wanted for our futures. One night, after a particularly stressful trial testimony, Alex took me to dinner. You need to eat, he said. You barely ate anything this week. I'm not hungry, I said. Try anyway, Alex insisted. We sat at a quiet restaurant, away from crowds. Alex always chose places where he could watch the exits. It's a habit, he explained once, from my FBI days. Always knowing the exits, always watching for threats. Doesn't that get exhausting? I asked. Living like that? It does, Alex admitted. But it keeps people alive. Like me? I asked. Like you, Alex confirmed. We talked about his past, about why he left the FBI. There was a case, corruption within the bureau. I tried to expose it, got shut down. Realized the system protects itself. So you left? I asked. I left, Alex said. Started my own firm. Now I protect people the system won't protect, like whistleblowers, like you. 4 years after that Tuesday morning, most of the trials were over. Convictions secured. People were in prison. The immediate danger had passed, but I had changed. My whole life had changed. I couldn't go back to being a paralegal, couldn't pretend like nothing had happened, so I fully committed to investigative journalism. Worked with Diane full-time. We became a team, exposing corruption wherever we found it. Marcus's security company was thriving. He had contracts with journalists and activists, people who needed protection from powerful enemies. And Alex and I started dating. It happened gradually. 5 years after picking up the briefcase, Alex and I moved in together.
His apartment was more secure than mine, made sense from a safety perspective, but it was also more than that. We had fallen in love. It's strange, I told him one night. What is? Alex asked. How that briefcase led to you, I said. To us. If I hadn't picked it up, we never would have met. Chaos theory, Alex said. One small change creates massive consequences. I'm glad for this consequence, I said. Me too, Alex agreed. But our relationship wasn't without challenges. Alex was protective, sometimes too protective. He still saw threats everywhere. One night, 6 years after the briefcase incident, we had a fight. You can't follow me to every interview, I told Alex. I'm doing my job. I'm keeping you safe, Alex argued. I don't need you to keep me safe anymore, I said. The trials are over. The bad guys are in prison. Not all of them, Alex said. There are always more. You can't protect me from everything, I pointed out. You have to let me live my life. Alex was quiet. You're right, he finally said. I've been holding on too tight. I'm scared, Alex admitted, of losing you, of something happening because I wasn't vigilant enough. Nothing is going to happen, I said, and if it does, we'll handle it together. That conversation changed things. Alex backed off slightly, let me have more freedom. We found balance. 7 years after picking up the wrong briefcase, I published a book about the whole experience, about corruption and conspiracy, about ordinary people who stumble into extraordinary situations. The book became a bestseller. I did interviews, podcasts, talks at universities. People were fascinated by the story, by how one mistake changed everything. Alex came to my book launch, stood in the back, watching, always watching, but also smiling, proud. After the event, he pulled me aside. I'm proud of you, Alex said. You took something terrifying and turned it into something meaningful. I couldn't have done it without you, I said. You protected me, gave me space to process, to grow. We're a good team, Alex said. The best, I agreed. 8 years later, Marcus got engaged to a woman he met through work, someone who understood the security world. The wedding was small, just close friends. Alex and I stood up with Marcus. During his vows, Marcus said something that stuck with me. 8 years ago, my best friend picked up the wrong briefcase, he said. It changed her life, changed my life, led to this career, to meeting you. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. After the wedding, Alex and I talked about marriage. Do you want to get married? Alex asked. Eventually, I said. Do you? I do, Alex said, but I want to make sure you're ready, that you've had time to process everything that happened. I appreciate that, I said. 9 years after that Tuesday morning, the last trial concluded. The final person involved in the conspiracy was sentenced. It was really over. That night, Alex and I celebrated. It's done, I said. Finally done. How does it feel? Alex asked. Strange, I admitted. This case has defined my life for 9 years. Now what? Now you get to decide what comes next, Alex said. Without looking over your shoulder, without worrying about threats. What do you want? I asked. What do you want to do now? I want to marry you, Alex said. Is that a proposal? I asked. It is, Alex confirmed. Rachel Martinez, will you marry me? Yes, I said. Obviously, yes. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Marcus was best man, Diane was my maid of honor. In my vows, I talked about how picking up that briefcase led to Alex, how danger led to love. In his vows, Alex talked about protecting me, about how somewhere along the way, protection became partnership. 10 years after picking up the wrong briefcase, I was building a new life, married to Alex, working as an investigative journalist, using my experience to help others. One day, I got an email from a young woman who had stumbled into information she shouldn't have, who was being threatened, who didn't know what to do. I know who you are, she wrote. I read your book. I need help. I called her, told her to come to Chicago, that we would protect her, that she could expose the truth safely. When she arrived, I introduced her to Marcus, to Diane, to Alex. We helped her the way people helped me, protected her, got her story out, exposed more corruption. That became my purpose, helping whistleblowers, protecting people who stumbled into dangerous information, using my experience for good. 11 years after that Tuesday morning, Alex and I bought a house, somewhere secure, but also homey, somewhere we could build a life. This is nice, I said on moving day. Normal. As normal as our lives get, Alex joked. He wasn't wrong. Our lives weren't normal. I was constantly working on dangerous investigations. Alex was protecting people from serious threats, but we made it work. 12 years later, I won a journalism award for a series on government corruption. The award ceremony was surreal. Standing on stage, being recognized for work that started with a mistake. In my acceptance speech, I talked about that Tuesday morning, about running late,
About grabbing the wrong briefcase. Sometimes our biggest moments come from our smallest mistakes, I said. That briefcase changed my life, taught me that ordinary people can make extraordinary differences. After the ceremony, Alex hugged me. "I'm so proud of you," he said. "None of this would have happened without you," I said. "You kept me alive long enough to do this work." "We kept each other alive," Alex corrected. 13 years after picking up the briefcase, I started mentoring young journalists, teaching them about investigation, about safety, about dealing with powerful people who want to silence you. One of my students asked me a question. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Regret what?" I said. "Picking up that briefcase, all the danger, all the fear. Was it worth it?" I thought about it. The death threats, the fear, the years of looking over my shoulder, but also the truth exposed, the people held accountable, the lives changed. "No," I finally said. "I don't regret it." "Even the scary parts?" the student asked. "Especially the scary parts," I said, "because they taught me I was stronger than I thought, that ordinary people can stand up to corruption, that telling the truth matters." 14 years later, I published another book, this one about the aftermath, about living with the consequences of whistleblowing, about building a life after exposing corruption. Alex wrote a chapter about protection, about loving someone who takes dangerous risks, about finding balance between safety and freedom. The book resonated with people, especially people who had exposed wrongdoing, who understood the cost of speaking truth to power. 15 years after that Tuesday morning, I received a pardon from the new administration for any potential crimes related to accessing the encrypted files. "You didn't need a pardon," Alex said. "You were acting in the public interest." "I know," I said, "but it's nice to have it official, that I did the right thing." "You always did the right thing," Alex said, even when it was terrifying. 16 years later, Marcus had a daughter, named her Rachel, after me. "I'm honored," I told him. "You changed my life," Marcus said, "taught me what courage looks like. Now I want my daughter to have that same courage." At the baby naming, I held little Rachel, thought about everything that led to this moment. One briefcase, one mistake, all these ripples. 17 years after picking up the wrong briefcase, I was asked to testify before Congress again, this time about protecting whistleblowers, about creating systems that encourage truth-telling. I sat in front of the committee, told my story again. 17 years ago, I picked up the wrong briefcase, I said. What followed was terrifying, but also necessary. We need to protect people who expose corruption, not punish them. The testimony led to new legislation, better protections for whistleblowers. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Alex watched from the gallery, still protective after all these years, still watching the exits, still making sure I was safe. Some things never change, I thought, and I was grateful for that. 18 years later, the original conspiracy was used as a case study in law schools and journalism programs about corruption, about investigation, about ordinary people making a difference. I was invited to speak at universities, to share my experience, to inspire the next generation. One student asked me the question I get asked most. "Were you scared?" she asked. "Terrified," I admitted. "Every day for years." "But you did it anyway," the student said. "I did," I confirmed, "because being scared doesn't mean you don't act. It means you act despite the fear." 19 years after that Tuesday morning, I took a sabbatical.
Needed time to rest, to process everything that had happened. Alex and I traveled, went to places we had always wanted to see, lived without fear for a few months. "This is nice," I said one day in Italy. "Just being tourists. No investigations, no threats, just us." "It is nice," Alex agreed, "but you're getting restless." "I am," I admitted. "I miss the work." "Then we'll go back," Alex said, "but we'll come back to this too. Balance." Balance, I agreed. 20 years after picking up the wrong briefcase, we threw a party. 2 decades since that Tuesday morning. 2 decades of consequences and growth and change. Marcus came with his family. Diane and her partner, colleagues and friends. People whose lives intersected with mine because of that briefcase. In my speech, I reflected on 20 years, on how one mistake created this community, this purpose, this life. 20 years ago, I was running late for work, I said. I grabbed what I thought was my briefcase. It wasn't. That mistake changed everything. Led to danger, led to truth, led to all of you. I paused, looked around the room. I don't know what my life would have been like if I hadn't picked up that briefcase. Probably quieter, definitely safer, but also probably less meaningful. Because that briefcase gave me purpose, showed me what I was capable of, led me to people I love. After the party, Alex and I sat on our porch.
20 years, he said. 2 decades since everything changed. Do you ever think about the person who originally owned that briefcase? I asked. Sometimes, Alex said. They're still in prison. Will be for years. Do you feel bad for them? Alex asked. No, I said. They chose to be part of corruption, to facilitate crimes. I just happened to pick up their briefcase. You did more than that, Alex said. You exposed them, changed the system, made things better. We made things better, I corrected. All of us. Looking back on 20 years, I'm amazed by the journey, by how one mistake on a Tuesday morning led to everything, to a career, a marriage, a purpose. I picked up the wrong briefcase. Every black car in the city came looking for me. I survived, thrived, turned fear into action, turned danger into purpose. That's my story. And 20 years later, I'm grateful for every moment, even the terrifying ones, because they made me who I am. 21 years after picking up that briefcase, I faced a new challenge. Someone leaked documents suggesting I had fabricated parts of my story, that the conspiracy wasn't as extensive as I claimed. The allegations came from a website known for conspiracy theories, but they gained traction. Social media picked it up. Suddenly, I was defending myself again. This is a smear campaign, Diane said. Someone trying to discredit you. Who? I asked. Someone connected to the original conspiracy, Diane suggested. People are still in prison because of you. They want revenge. We fought back, provided evidence, showed documentation, proved every detail of my story was true. It took months to clear my name. The experience was exhausting. I thought this was over, I told Alex. I thought I could move past the briefcase. Some people will never let you move past it, Alex said. It defined you. That scares them. I don't want to be defined by one moment, I said. Then define yourself differently, Alex suggested. Tell new stories. Investigate new things. Build on what you started, but grow beyond it. He was right. I started working on different investigations, still about corruption, but not connected to the briefcase, proving I was more than that one story. 22 years later, I received a threatening letter, handwritten, mailed to my home. "We haven't forgotten," it said. "You ruined lives, destroyed careers. One day you'll pay." I showed it to Alex. "This is credible," he said, after examining it. "We need to increase security." "Again?" I asked. "It's been 22 years. When does this end?" "Probably never," Alex admitted. "You exposed powerful people. Some of them have allies. Allies who want revenge. We increased security. Marcus's team did a sweep of our house, found nothing but took precautions anyway. The next month, someone attempted to hack my email. Marcus's security caught it, traced it back to an IP address in Eastern Europe. "They're coming after you again," Marcus said, "using different tactics." "What do I do?" I asked. "What I always do. Keep working. Keep telling truth. Don't let them intimidate me." "Exactly," Marcus confirmed. 23 years after that Tuesday morning, I started a foundation to support whistleblowers, to provide them with legal help, security, and resources. Alex ran the security division. Marcus consulted. Diane helped with media strategy. We helped dozens of people in that first year. People who had exposed corruption in their companies or governments, who faced retaliation, who needed protection. "This is what it was all for," I told Alex one night. "What do you mean?" he asked. "The briefcase, the danger, all of it led to this, to helping others. That makes it worth it." "You're remarkable," Alex said. "Most people would want to forget, move on, forget trauma, but you turned it into purpose. Because that's how you honor what happened," I said. "You use it to make things better." 24 years later, we had a scare. Alex collapsed at work. Heart attack. Minor, but terrifying. I sat in the hospital waiting room thinking about losing him, about how this man had protected me for over 2 decades, about how he had become my everything. "He's going to be fine," the doctor said, "but he needs to make changes. Less stress, better diet, more rest. I'll make sure of it," I promised. When Alex woke up, I was sitting beside his bed. "You scared me," I said. "I'm sorry," Alex replied, his voice weak. "Don't ever do that again," I said. "I'll try not to," Alex promised. We cut back, both of us. I took on fewer investigations. Alex delegated more at his security firm. We prioritized health and time together. Life over work. 25 years after picking up the wrong briefcase, we celebrated the anniversary. Quarter century since that Tuesday morning. We had dinner at home. Just the two of us. 25 years, I said. "Can you believe it?" "Barely," Alex admitted. "Feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago." "So much has changed," I said. "But something stayed the same." "Like what?" Alex asked. "Like the danger. We're still dealing with threats, still looking over our shoulders. That's the cost," Alex said, "of exposing corruption, of telling truth to power." "Do you regret it?" I asked. "Getting involved with me, taking on all this danger?" "Never," Alex said. "You're worth every threat, every sleepless night, every security measure." "I love you," I said. "I love you too," Alex replied. 26 years later, one of the original conspirators was released from prison. I got a call from the FBI, warning me, letting me know. "He served his time," the agent said. "We can't prevent him from being released, but we wanted you to be aware." "Is he a threat?" I asked. "We don't know," the agent admitted. "Just be careful." I told Alex. We increased security again, but the former conspirator never came near us, moved to another state, kept his head down. "Maybe he learned his lesson," Marcus suggested. "Or maybe he's too old to care anymore." "Either way, I'll stay vigilant," Alex said. 27 years after that briefcase, I published my 3rd book, this one about resilience, about living with long-term consequences of doing the right thing. The book resonated with people who had faced retaliation, who had spoken up and suffered for it. "You're giving people hope," Diane said at the book launch, "showing them they can survive." "More than survive," I corrected. "They can thrive." That's the message. 28 years later, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder, PTSD from years of threats and fear. It wasn't surprising, but it was hard to accept. "I need therapy," I told Alex. "I've needed it for years." "Then let's find you a good therapist," Alex said, "someone who specializes in trauma." I started therapy, worked through decades of fear, of hypervigilance, of always expecting danger. The therapist helped me understand. "You lived in survival mode for years," she said. "Your brain adapted. Now we need to help it adapt back." It took time, medication, cognitive behavioral therapy, but gradually I felt better.
less anxious, more able to relax. 29 years after picking up that briefcase, Alex retired from active security work. He stayed on as a consultant, but stepped back from day-to-day operations. "I want to spend more time with you," he said. "We've spent too many years working. Now I want to just live." "I love that plan," I said. We traveled more, spent time with friends and family, enjoyed the life we had built. 30 years after that Tuesday morning, we threw a major party. 3 decades since the briefcase, 3 decades of consequences and growth. Everyone came. Marcus with his family, Diane with her grandchildren, former clients of our foundation, people whose lives intersected with ours. In my speech, I reflected on 30 years, on how one mistake created all of this. 30 years ago, I was a paralegal running late for work, I said. I grabbed what I thought was my briefcase. It was the wrong one. That mistake led to everything. To danger and fear, to purpose and meaning, to all of you. I looked at Alex, to him, my protector, my partner, my love. I looked at the room, filled with people whose lives changed because of that briefcase. 30 years is a long time, I continued, but the impact of that Tuesday morning never faded. It shaped everything. My career, my relationships, my sense of purpose. If I could go back, knowing everything that would happen, would I still pick up that briefcase? I paused, thought about it. Yes, I finally said, 1,000 times yes, because it led here, to this life, to these people, to meaning and purpose and love. After the party, Alex and I sat on our porch. We were in our late 50s now, older, grayer, but still together. 30 years, Alex said. 3 decades of protecting you. You stopped protecting me years ago, I pointed out. Now we protect each other. True, Alex agreed. We sat in comfortable silence, reflected on 30 years. Do you think about that first call when Marcus brought me to meet you? All the time, Alex said. I walked in expecting to protect another scared whistleblower, but you were different. How? I asked. You were scared, but also determined, Alex said. You weren't just surviving, you were fighting. That impressed me. You impressed me too, I said. I thought you were just another security guy, but you actually cared. Still do, Alex confirmed. Always will. 31 years after the briefcase, the conspiracy became a documentary. Filmmakers wanted to tell the story. We agreed to participate. The documentary took 2 years to make. Interviews with everyone involved, with Alex, Marcus, Diane, with investigators and journalists, with some of the convicted conspirators. When it premiered, it was surreal. Seeing my life on screen, the fear, the danger, the triumph. It's strange, I told Alex after watching it, seeing our story told by someone else. It's accurate, but also incomplete. They can't capture what it felt like, how scared we were, how uncertain everything was. That's the thing about stories, I said. They simplify, make things seem inevitable, but living it was messy and terrifying. The documentary won awards, brought renewed attention to the case, to the importance of whistleblowers, to protecting people who expose corruption. 32 years later, I was invited to speak at the United Nations
About corruption. About ordinary people making a difference. The speech was broadcast globally. 32 years ago, I made a mistake, I said. That mistake exposed a massive conspiracy. But more importantly, it showed that ordinary people can stand up to corruption, that you don't need to be powerful to make a difference, just brave enough to tell the truth. The speech resonated, led to international policy changes, better protections for whistleblowers worldwide. Alex watched from the audience, still proud after all these years, still supporting me, still there. 33 years after picking up that briefcase, we bought a cabin, somewhere remote, where we could escape when needed. This is perfect, I said. Peace and quiet, no black cars, Alex joked. No threats or investigations, just us and nature. We spent weekends at the cabin, disconnected from the world, reconnected with each other. 34 years later, Marcus retired, sold his security company, spent time with his grandchildren. You started all this, he told me at his retirement party. What do you mean? I asked. Your briefcase led to my career, Marcus said, to everything I built, to the people I helped. So thank you. Thank you for getting lost on that train. We laughed. After all these years, we could laugh about it. 35 years after that Tuesday morning, I finally felt at peace. The threats had stopped. The danger had faded. I could live without constant fear. Is it strange? I asked Alex one day. What? He replied. Not being in danger anymore. Not looking over my shoulder constantly. It's an adjustment, Alex admitted. I still catch myself checking exits, still watching for threats. Old habits. We're safe now, I said. We are, Alex agreed. And that's wonderful. But also strange. We spent so many years in danger that safety feels unfamiliar. We'll adjust, I said. Learn to live without fear. Together, Alex added. Always together. 36 years after picking up the wrong briefcase, I started writing my memoir. The complete story. Everything that happened over more than 3 decades. Alex helped, filled in details I had forgotten, reminded me of moments I had tried to forget. Some of this is hard to write, I told him one day. Then write it anyway, Alex said. People need to know the whole truth, not just the heroic parts, the scared parts too. The memoir took 3 years to write. Every detail, every threat, every moment of fear, but also every moment of triumph, of growth, of learning I was stronger than I thought. 37 years later, I received an honorary doctorate from the university where I had spoken years before. The ceremony was emotional. They called me a hero, a truth teller, someone who changed the world. I'm not a hero, I said in my acceptance speech. I'm just someone who made a mistake and tried to do the right thing with the consequences. Heroes choose danger. I stumbled into it. But stumbling into danger and choosing to fight back is its own kind of heroism. That's what the dean told me afterward. I never thought of it that way, I admitted. 38 years after that Tuesday morning, the last person involved in the original conspiracy died. In prison. I got a call from the FBI, letting me know. It's really over, the agent said. Everyone connected to that case is either dead or served their time. How do you feel? I didn't know how I felt. Relief, mostly, but also strange. This case had defined nearly 4 decades of my life. Now it was truly closed. It's surreal, I told Alex. What is? He asked. That it's actually over. After 38 years. You can move on completely now, Alex said. No more looking back. Only forward. I'm not sure I know how to do that, I admitted. Then we'll figure it out together, Alex said. Like we've figured out everything else. 39 years later, we took a major trip. Around the world. 6 months of travel, seeing places we had always wanted to see. This is freedom, I said one day in Japan. Real freedom. No threats, no fear, just experiencing life. It's what you earned, Alex said. 39 years of fighting. Now you get to rest. We're not done yet, I pointed out. We still have the foundation, still helping people. True, Alex agreed. But we're choosing that now, not being forced into it by circumstances. That's the difference. 40 years after picking up the wrong briefcase, we threw the biggest party yet. 4 decades since that Tuesday morning. 4 decades of consequences and growth and change. The party was massive. Hundreds of people. Everyone whose life intersected with mine because of that briefcase.
whistleblowers I had helped, journalists I had mentored, security professionals who trained under Alex. In my speech, I reflected on 40 years, on how one mistake on one Tuesday morning created all of this. 40 years ago, I was running late for work. I was stressed and tired and not paying attention. I grabbed what I thought was my briefcase. It wasn't mine. That mistake changed everything. Changed my life, changed many of your lives, led to careers and relationships and purposes none of us could have imagined.
I looked at Alex. To him, my partner of almost 3 decades, my protector turned equal, my love. I looked at the room, at faces I knew and lives I had touched. 40 years is a lifetime, I continued, but the impact of that Tuesday morning never faded. It shaped everything, my career, my marriage, my sense of who I am. People ask me if I'd do it differently, if I'd leave that briefcase on the train if I could do it over. The honest answer? I don't know. What I went through was terrifying. The death threats, the fear, the years of looking over my shoulder, the PTSD I still manage. But also, I'm proud of what came from it. Proud that we exposed corruption, that we helped other whistleblowers, that we made a difference. So, no, I probably wouldn't change it, even knowing everything that would happen, because it led here, to this life, to these people, to meaning and purpose and love. After the party, Alex and I drove to our cabin, away from the crowd, away from the noise, just us and the quiet. 40 years, Alex said. 4 decades since everything changed. Best 4 decades of my life, I said. Mine too, Alex agreed. Even with all the danger and fear? Even with that, I confirmed, because we faced it together. We sat on the cabin porch, looked at the stars, reflected on 4 decades. Do you ever think about the person's briefcase it was? I asked. The middleman who went to prison. Sometimes, Alex said. Do you? Rarely, I admitted. They made their choices. I just happened to pick up the evidence. But their choices led to your purpose, Alex pointed out. In a twisted way, they gave you the life you have now. That's a strange way to think about it, I said, but not wrong. We sat in comfortable silence, 2 people who had spent 4 decades together, who had faced danger and built safety, who had turned fear into purpose. 41 years after picking up that briefcase, I fully retired. From active journalism, from running the foundation, I stayed on as an advisor, but stepped back from daily work. It's time, I told Diane, time to let younger people lead. You've earned your rest, Diane said. You've been fighting for over 4 decades. Now enjoy the peace. Alex and I spent more time at the cabin, traveled when we wanted, spent time with friends and family, lived without deadlines or obligations. This is the good life, I told Alex. Finally, he agreed. 42 years later, I was diagnosed with early-stage cancer. Treatable, caught early, but still terrifying. I've faced death threats for decades, I told Alex, but this is different. This is my own body betraying me. We'll fight it, Alex said, like we fought everything else, together. Treatment was hard. Chemotherapy, radiation, months of feeling sick and weak, but I survived. Went into remission, realized how precious life was. We've been given more time, Alex said. Let's make it count. 43 years after that Tuesday morning, I published my final book, a reflection on a life defined by one moment, on how we're shaped by chance and choice. The book was called The Wrong Briefcase, a memoir of 43 years of consequences. It became my best-selling book. People related to the idea that one moment can change everything, that ordinary people face extraordinary circumstances, that we're all more capable than we think.
44 years later, my cancer returned. This time it was worse. The doctors were less optimistic. "I'm scared," I told Alex. "Me too," Alex admitted. "But we've been scared before. We've survived worse." "Not like this," I said. "This is different." "Then we'll make whatever time we have count," Alex said. "We'll appreciate every day, every moment." I underwent aggressive treatment, fought hard, but the cancer was winning. 45 years after picking up the wrong briefcase, I was in hospice. The end was near. Alex was with me constantly, holding my hand, talking about our life together. 45 years, I said, my voice weak, since that Tuesday morning. Best 45 years I could have asked for, Alex said. Even with everything, the cancer, even with that, Alex confirmed, because we had this time together. "I'm sorry," I said, "for leaving you." "Don't apologize," Alex said. "You fought hard, longer than anyone expected. Now you get to rest." "Tell me the story one more time," I asked. "Which story?" Alex asked, though he knew. "The briefcase story. How we met." So Alex told it, about a scared woman who had picked up the wrong briefcase, who was being hunted by black cars, who called her friend Marcus for help, about meeting her for the first time, assigned to protect her, expecting another terrified whistleblower, but finding someone different, someone determined, someone brave. "I fell in love with you almost immediately," Alex said. "I was there to protect you, but somewhere along the way, protection became partnership, became love." "Did you know I'd make it?" I asked. "Did you think I'd survive?" "I hoped," Alex said, "prayed, did everything I could to keep you safe." "And you did," I said. "You kept me safe for 45 years. "We kept each other safe," Alex corrected. "I'm going to miss you," I said.
"I'm gonna miss you too," Alex replied. "Every single day. But I'll be grateful. Grateful for 45 years together. Grateful for the life we built from that briefcase." "Promise me something," I said. "Anything," Alex said. "Promise you'll keep helping people," I said. "Keep the foundation going. Keep protecting whistleblowers." "I promise," Alex said. "Your legacy will continue." That night, surrounded by Alex and close friends, I passed away peacefully. At my funeral, Alex gave the eulogy. "Rachel Martinez was many things," he said. "A journalist, a whistleblower, an advocate. But to me, she was everything." He paused, collected himself. 45 years ago, Rachel picked up the wrong briefcase. That mistake led to danger, to fear, to years of threats. But it also led to purpose, to meaning, to a life well lived. Rachel exposed corruption, protected others, made the world better, not because she wanted to be a hero, but because she stumbled into circumstances that demanded courage, and she had that courage in abundance. After the funeral, Marcus spoke. "She changed my life," Marcus said, "led to my career, to everything I built. All because she trusted me enough to ask for help." Diane spoke next. "Rachel was the bravest person I knew," she said. "Not because she wasn't scared, she was terrified for years, but because she acted despite that fear. That's real courage." The foundation continued, renamed in my honor, the Rachel Martinez Foundation for Whistleblower Protection. Alex ran it for several more years, then passed it to younger leaders. But he stayed involved, kept my legacy alive. Years later, on the anniversary of that Tuesday morning, Alex would visit my grave, tell me about the people the foundation helped, about the corruption exposed, about the lives changed. "You'd be proud," he would say. "Your work continues, your impact grows, all because you picked up the wrong briefcase 45 years ago." And in the end, that's the story. I picked up the wrong briefcase on a Tuesday morning. Every black car in the city came looking for me. I survived, fought back, exposed corruption, built a life of meaning and purpose, helped countless others do the same. All because of one mistake, one moment, one choice to act despite fear. That's my legacy. That's my story. A wrong briefcase, 45 years of consequences, a life well lived. After Rachel's death, I struggled. We had been together for over 40 years. She was my purpose, my partner, my reason for everything. The foundation helped. Keeping her work alive gave me something to focus on, but the grief was overwhelming. One day, Marcus came to visit. "How are you holding up?" he asked. "I'm not," I admitted. "Alex, 45 years is a long time. She was everything to me." "She was everything to a lot of people," Marcus said. "Look at what she built. The foundation helps dozens of whistleblowers every year. That's her legacy." "I know," I said, "but I miss her." "Of course you do," Marcus said. "You will for the rest of your life. But Rachel wouldn't want you to stop living. She'd want you to keep fighting, keep helping people." So that's what I did. Kept working, kept protecting people, kept Rachel's mission alive. Years passed. The foundation grew, helped hundreds of people, protected whistleblowers, exposed corruption, all in Rachel's name. On the 10th anniversary of her death, we held a memorial. Everyone came, people she had helped, journalists she had mentored, friends and family. In my speech, I talked about Rachel's impact. 10 years ago, I lost my wife, I said. Rachel Martinez, the woman who picked up the wrong briefcase and changed the world. But her work didn't die with her. It continues. Every person we help, every corruption we expose, every truth we tell, that's Rachel's legacy. I looked at the crowd. She taught us that ordinary people can make extraordinary differences, that mistakes can become opportunities, that fear doesn't have to stop us from doing what's right. That lesson lives on, in all of us. 20 years after Rachel's death, I wrote a book about our life together, about protecting her, about falling in love with someone who constantly put herself in danger. The book was called Protecting Truth. It became a bestseller. People wanted to know about Rachel from my perspective, about the woman behind the hero. Rachel wasn't fearless, I wrote. She was terrified for years, but she acted anyway. That's what made her remarkable, not the absence of fear, but the presence of courage despite it. The book introduced Rachel to a new generation, young people who hadn't lived through the original conspiracy, who didn't know about the briefcase. They learned about her courage, about her impact. 30 years after Rachel picked up that briefcase, 75 years total, the conspiracy became history. Taught in schools, used as a case study in ethics and journalism programs. Rachel's story lived on, inspiring new generations of truth-tellers. I was invited to speak at universities about Rachel, about whistleblower protection, about the importance of courage. Students would ask me questions.
What was she really like? They'd ask. She was brave, I'd say, but also scared. She was determined, but also doubted herself. She was human. That's what made her remarkable. She was just a person who chose to do the right thing. Did you know she'd become this important? Another student would ask. No, I'd admit. When I first met her, she was just a scared paralegal who had picked up the wrong briefcase. I was there to protect her. I never imagined she'd become who she became. But you saw something in her, the student would press. I saw courage, I'd say. I saw someone who could have run but chose to fight. That's what mattered. As I got older, into my 80s, I spent more time reflecting on our life together. 45 years with Rachel, the love of my life. We had started in danger, in fear, with black cars hunting her and me trying to keep her alive. But we built something beautiful from that fear. A partnership, a love, a shared purpose. I would visit her grave regularly.
tell her about the foundation, about the people we helped. You'd be proud, I'd say. The work continues, the impact grows. We've helped over 1,000 people now, protected them, given them the resources to tell their truth safely. That's your legacy. Sometimes I'd tell her about missing her, about how every day without her was harder than the last. But I'd also tell her about gratitude, about being grateful for 45 years together. Most people don't get that, I'd say. 45 years with their soulmate? We were lucky. Even with all the danger and fear, we had each other. On what would have been Rachel's 80th birthday, the foundation held a celebration. Not of her death, but of her life, of everything she accomplished. Young journalists spoke about her influence, whistleblowers talked about how the foundation saved them, how Rachel's story gave them courage. I spoke last. Rachel picked up the wrong briefcase 65 years ago, I said. That mistake led to everything, to exposing corruption, to protecting others, to building a movement. But more than that, it led to us, to 45 years of partnership, of love, of facing danger together. I paused, looked at the crowd. I've spent 20 years without her now. 20 years of missing her every day, but also 20 years of seeing her impact continue, of watching her legacy grow. She's not here, but her work is, her courage is, her example is. And that's enough. After the celebration, Marcus came over. We sat on the porch of the cabin, the one Rachel and I had bought decades ago. She changed everything, Marcus said, for all of us. She did, I agreed. Do you regret it? Marcus asked. Falling in love with someone who lived so dangerously? Never, I said. The danger made every moment more precious, made me appreciate her more. You were good together, Marcus said, balanced each other. We were, I confirmed. I kept her alive. She made that life worth living. That's the thing about Rachel, I continued. She could have chosen safety, could have left that briefcase alone, gone to the meeting in Grant Park, given up the information, but she didn't. She fought, and that fight changed the world. Not just her world, Marcus added, all of ours. As I got older, into my late 80s, I started preparing for my own death, made sure the foundation would continue, that Rachel's work would live on long after both of us were gone. I wrote letters to the young people running the foundation, to the whistleblowers we had helped, to Rachel's memory. In my letter to future foundation leaders, I wrote about Rachel's courage, about how she turned one mistake into a lifetime of purpose. Continue her work, I wrote. Protect people who tell the truth. Make sure they know they're not alone. That's what Rachel did for 45 years. That's what you must continue. On the 60th anniversary of Rachel picking up the wrong briefcase, I was 90 years old. The foundation held a massive celebration. 60 years since that Tuesday morning. 60 years of consequences. I was too frail to speak much, but I attended, watched as young people who had never met Rachel talked about her impact, about how her story inspired them. After the event, I went home, sat in the cabin, looked at photos of our life together. Rachel young and scared, then determined, then confident, then at peace. We had a good life, I said to her photo, despite everything. Despite the fear and danger, we had a good life. That night, I passed away peacefully, in the same cabin where Rachel and I had spent so many weekends. At my funeral, they played a video Rachel and I had made decades before, about our love story, about the briefcase, about 45 years together. In the video, Rachel said something I had forgotten. One mistake changed my life, she said. But choosing Alex every day for 45 years was what made that life beautiful. The briefcase brought danger. Alex brought love. And in the end, the love mattered more than the danger. We were buried next to each other, two people who had spent most of their lives together, who had faced danger and built love.
The foundation continued. Rachel's legacy lived on. Her story continued to inspire. And years later, when people asked about the woman who picked up the wrong briefcase, they would learn about her courage, her determination, her impact. But they would also learn about us, about Rachel and Alex, about a love that started in danger and lasted a lifetime, about partnership in the face of fear. That's the complete story. Rachel picked up the wrong briefcase 65 years before I died. That mistake led to everything, to danger and fear, to purpose and meaning, to love and partnership, to a legacy that continues still. One briefcase, 65 years of consequences, 2 lives well lived. The story of Rachel Martinez and the wrong briefcase became legend, a cautionary tale about corruption, an inspiring story about courage, a reminder that ordinary people can change the world. In journalism schools, students learned about her investigation, about how she exposed massive corruption, about the courage it took to stand up to powerful people. In law schools, they studied the legal implications, the trials, the convictions, the precedents set. In ethics classes, they debated her choices. Should she have looked at the files? Should she have gone to the FBI immediately? Should she have put herself and others in danger? But the answer was always the same. Rachel did what she thought was right, and the world was better for it. Decades after her death, the Rachel Martinez Foundation continued to grow, helping hundreds of whistleblowers every year, protecting people who exposed corruption, giving them the resources and security they needed to tell the truth safely. The foundation became the gold standard for whistleblower protection. Governments around the world modeled their programs after it, and every person helped by the foundation learned Rachel's story about the paralegal who picked up the wrong briefcase, who faced down black cars and death threats, who exposed corruption and changed the world. Her story gave them courage, showed them that ordinary people could make extraordinary differences, that mistakes could become opportunities, that telling the truth mattered even when it was dangerous. In the end, that's what Rachel's legacy was about. Not just the specific corruption she exposed, but the example she set, the courage she showed, the reminder that we all have the power to make a difference. One briefcase, one Tuesday morning, one mistake that changed the world. That's Rachel Martinez's story, and it continues to inspire people generations later. Because the truth always matters, courage is always needed, and ordinary people will always have the power to change things if they're brave enough to try. Rachel Martinez was brave enough. She picked up the wrong briefcase on a Tuesday morning when she was running late for work. She could have left it on the train, could have ignored it, could have given it back without looking inside, but she didn't. She looked. She saw corruption, and she decided to fight. That decision cost her years of safety, years of peace, but it gave her something more important: purpose, meaning, the knowledge that she had made a difference. In the end, isn't that what we all want? To know that our lives mattered, that we made things better, that we had the courage to do the right thing, even when it was hard? Rachel had that courage, and her story reminds us that we can have it too. All it takes is one moment, one decision, one choice to be brave. So the next time you see something wrong, remember Rachel Martinez. Remember the woman who picked up the wrong briefcase, who faced down black cars and death threats, who exposed corruption and changed the world. Remember that she was just an ordinary person, a paralegal running late for work, who made one mistake that turned into a lifetime of purpose. You can be that person too. You can make that difference. All you need is the courage to try. Did you like my story? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.